Nerds. Jasmine and Brandon here with your comic book news and reviews.
All right, so there's a mix-up in the Ultimate Universe, and we have to say this right now because this is kind of big deal, big news. Spoiler warning, if you do not want to know anything about this, fast forward.
Specifically,
like a couple minutes.
Ultimate
I don't know
Spider-Man.
how long. It's about Ultimate Spider-Man, so if you guys are reading this, you know what's going on. Peter Parker's dead. Peter Parker died a couple issues ago.
no one cares.
No one really cares. It's the Ultimate Universe.
No.
I mean, that was one of my favorite books.
It's a giant what if, like.
It is a giant what if, but you can't really look at it that way because that Marvel's very famous for their what ifs. You have to look at it as this is a brand new beginning. This is a brand new storyline. And when the Ultimate started, man, was it awesome. It was so good. It's fresh and new, but you have all these same characters. Ultimate Spider-Man was that way because he made it a point. Brian Michael Bendis made it a point. This kid is not leaving high school. This kid is still struggling with girlfriends, with jobs, with all kinds of things. And I don't know if you know, but original Spider-Man, the 616 universe, he was only in college for 15 issues. Or no, in high school for 15 issues.
Okay.
And then what they wanted to do back then was like grow him like really fast. They just wanted him in college because they wanted to get that audience. They wanted to,
makes sense.
Yeah. So now they had the Ultimate Universe, had a great run, and Peter Parker is dead. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we have a new person in the Spider-Man outfit.
And he's black.
He's black. Oh yeah, totally. It's pretty sweet. I was reading an article that Brian Michael Bendis, he had an interview with USA Today, and he actually talked about his inspiration for making him black. And it was actually Donald Glover is the inspiration.
Which is fantastic,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
for a second.
Yeah, The Amazing Spider-Man, they were casting it, and Donald Glover was petitioning hardcore. He wanted to be Spider-Man. He wanted to be Peter Parker. And Brian Michael Bendis saw this, and he saw an episode of Community where Donald Glover shows up in like Spider-Man pajamas. And he was like, yeah, that totally makes sense, and I'll write it. I'll write it as a comic book. So, yeah.
Bendis is kind of easily swayed.
Yeah. Well, Bendis is kind of like, he's in charge of Marvel. He's the Jeff Johns at Marvel. He can do whatever he wants.
He should
Which
put
is
less
cool.
word bubbles in books. Anyway,
Yeah.
the new Ultimate Spider-Man's name is Michael Morales. He's following that same sort of Stan Lee alliteration, Peter Parker naming
do it.
deal. So, pretty sweet. I'm excited. I might actually start reading Ultimate Spider-Man just because it's new. Gotta support the people.
I want to see how it's going. I really like what they did with Spider-Woman, where she's a clone and Like, there's a lot of really cool things that they've done. The Clone Saga ruled, whereas the Clone Saga and the other one, not so much. But we'll see how it works.
All right, so the courts just ruled in favor for Marvel Comics against Jack Kirby's family, who are looking to get copyrights, and I'm assuming like royalties, compensation,
Royalties.
Exactly, for his work, in the earlier years.
Yeah, it was like 58 to like 64, somewhere around that region where he worked on a ton of stuff. He worked on The Rawhide Kid, which is not a big book, but he also did
Amazing.
Fantastic Four, Avengers, Ant-Man. The list is kind of like endless in terms of the characters that we read about now. It's kind of awakening to see the impact that he's had.
Now, the issue here is that he sort of signed a contract saying that he would get compensation for what he did, but have
Money.
none of the risk if it failed.
Exactly.
So that's why they ruled
in Marvel's favor, not in his favor. It's kind of like he just came on to do freelance work. You're drawing these characters. He didn't really have to put his input in it. He didn't have to do. He came in as a critical input, but he didn't have to. And it was Marvel that was taking the risk, which kind of sucks. I mean, that's one of those things where you have to read your contract. You have to read what you're being given, and Stan Lee still has those rights to those people.
Oh,
like
totally.
Stan Lee's part of the company.
And I think that's where the issue is because I think his family wants what he should have gotten, but in actuality, it's his fault. So
it's his fault. It is his fault.
And he died 10 years ago. Why are you waiting till just now?
Yeah.
And it's kind of dumb to wait until after Marvel Comics is bought up by Disney because you're not going to beat Disney. You're not going to beat the Disney
I don't know
Corporation.
if you can beat that legal team. I mean, they're kind of like the biggest company in the world.
They're like aliens
Yeah.
in suits.
For the nerds, Steven here with some comic book reviews. I got two of them. To start, Retroactive Batman 1970s. So obviously, since it's retroactive, it's two copies in one of some older comics from 1970. And the one they chose was with the Terrible 3, but it's like the second edition of the Terrible 3, because there was a first one before, and then they took the name of it, and it's obviously like it's definitely not the old ones, since they're all in prison or dead. And it's really good, because I mean, it's old school Batman back when there's puns like, where he's like, The town's quiet, a little too quiet, but since I just said the pun, that means danger's gonna happen. And stuff like that. It's like the good old school style of silly puns, old school fighting stuff, and it's really good, a really fun read. It's a one-shot, so you don't have to, so it's not like they're gonna try and bring it back by keep on doing it. It's just a fun little one, highly recommend it. 4.5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. The next one is Abattoir. I think that's how you say it, but it's from Radical Publishing. It's our good friends over there. And it was a really good book. I mean, I haven't read the earlier one since this is the last of the 6, so I can't say much for the story because it is heavily you need to know about the beginning part. But of what I was able to read, it had a really cool story, really cool, like, the way the whole, like, psycho mind game works in it. Beautiful art. I mean, there's a scene where, like, somebody gets shot in the head and it's like flying out blood from the head. It's like such beautiful art, really well written. I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey there, Internet. Jasmine here with my comic reviews for the week. My first book is The Vault #1. It is an image book. It's pretty cool. Solid art, pretty cool writing. I love how it sort of is introspective and goes through a couple different characters, like mind states, what they're thinking. A guy gets attacked by a giant squid. Pretty fun. However, this book is about like a group of scientists sort of in the ocean doing stuff, looking for things, and it reminded me a little too much of Deep Blue Sea, which is a movie I love. However, not the most solid story. Anyhow, loved it for the most part. I'll give it about 3 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Check it out, see if you like it, add it to your pull list. And my next book is Flashpoint #4. I don't think a storyline has ever been this epic for me, where crazy stuff just happens and you don't see it coming, but then you're like, I knew it. Jeff Johns is a genius. I love this book. It was fantastic. The art's great. Andy Kubert's a genius. Everything about it's awesome. Crazy stuff happens. If you're not reading Flashpoint, go pick up all of them right now, and the tie-ins, because those are good too. Give it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Go read it right now.
Hey there, nerds. It's Cubby here with my comic reviews this week. Now, my first book is Retroactive, the 70s Wonder Woman. It's written by Denny O'Neil, and it's drawn by J-Bone. I don't know if you guys know a lot about J-Bone, but he's a very traditional, old-school artist. Kind of like Darwin Cook. He actually inks a lot of Darwin Cook stuff. So if you like Darwin Cook, you'll totally love this book. The story, though, it's an old-school Denny O'Neil story. It's awesome. You get the Wonder Woman fighting. You get the Queen Hippolyta with her own speak. I don't know the way the Themyscirians speak. It's just kind of cool. He knows how to write them really well. And it's the backup story, actually, is a story from the 70s, written by Denny O'Neil as well. And it's probably more fun than the story that leads into it. It's just awesome. Catwoman's in it. You guys should definitely pick this up. I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. My next review is 50 Girls 50, #3. Now I read #2 of this one. I didn't read #1, but it's really easy to catch on. It's a really short book. I think there's only gonna be like 4 issues in it. So it's a really short story. But this next issue, to catch you up a little bit actually, it's about a group of girls trying to find resources throughout space for Earth. The Earth has completely depleted its resources and they're out exploring for it. Well, they were traveling from planet to planet. The last one, they like land on this planet and they got attacked. This one, they go to a different planet and they start observing it and they realize it's dinosaurs. It's all dinosaurs, but they're not just like walking around forests. They're actually conducting a society, like living a real civilization. They have TV shows, they have soap operas, they have news reporters, they have a Times Square. It's like Earth, but with dinosaurs. And they realize that they're actually gonna get annihilated by an asteroid. They wanna help them, crap goes down, and they need to be rescued. And it's actually really, really sweet. There's a lot of great action in this book, a lot of really attractive women in this book, so automatically it's gonna get a 4 Nerd Skulls from me.
Hey guys, Brandon here with my comic review this week. I'm reviewing Punisher #1, written by Greg Rucka. I've been waiting for this book since I found out Greg Rucka was writing it because he's one of my favorite writers. He's absolutely incredible, and this book does not let down. Super violent, just everything I'm looking for in a book. I don't even think Punisher says one word the entire time. He's just completely menacing when he does show up. It's incredible. I can't wait to see what he does with this. I hope it's a long, long run that he stays on this. You guys need to add this to your pull box. 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey guys, Bobby here with my comic reviews of the week, and my first one is going to be Infinite #1, written by Robert Kirkman and drawn by Rob Liefeld. I actually really hated this book because every time Robert Kirkman teams up with another creator in the industry, it ends up sucking. Haunt was good in the beginning, but it kind of fell off later, and now I've heard Robert Kirkman's dropping off the book altogether. So I'm not excited for that. I went into this knowing that it was kind of a recreation of 90s crap, and it is exactly that. It's just manufactured stuff to where you go into the comic shop and it's just the same thing that you've seen a million times. The art's bland. I'm going to give this 2 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. My second review of the week is going to be Caligula #3, written by David Lapham, the same writer for the second series of Crossed. This book is sick. It is very gross. It's just full of rape and pillaging. It's disgusting, and that's why I love it. It's just along the same lines as Crossed. Each page gets you more and more disgusted, but in a totally good way. The third one kind of goes a little too far with a lot of the stuff, makes it a little bit more supernatural, which is kind of weird. So I'm actually going to give this 3 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. My third and final review of the week is going to be Flashpoint Batman Night of Vengeance #3. The art is actually really good, and it's the perfect companion book for Flashpoint #4. You get a lot of character development in Flashpoint #4 for Batman, and this is perfect because you get a little bit more, plus Martha Wayne in it. A lot of new stuff happens. This book is definitely my pick for as far as all Flashpoint goes. Night of Vengeance is amazing. You have to pick this one up. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, that is it for our comic book news and reviews this week. Until next week, be sure to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube page. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jasmine.
We'll see you guys next week.